Hello everybody, welcome back. Bit of a late start today, but kids clubs, hot days, late nights, so I couldn't get my morning one out, but no big rush. Nobody's at work today generally, are they? So let's get stuck in. So, starting on a weekly and working our way down, let's just focus on the total two, which is the most important thing for me when we're talking about alt season and what it is going to be looking like next. So, we've seen our first big move now from the 21 exponential this week all the way to the top of the Bollinger Band. So, from the centre to the top, really, and over the last couple of weeks, basically reclaiming it, supported on it, retested it back up to the top. So, it is an appropriate place to see a pullback. It doesn't necessarily have to get rejected from here. Bollinger Band tops, as in the band itself. Obviously, we do see rejections and supports on those areas, but they're not really like a moving average. They expand with volume and volatility. So, in a really bullish trending move, you would expect to see it pushing the outside of the band anyway until it gets completely overheated and then pops. That would normally coincide with the money flow index read and even this as well, with a big bearish divergence read on the RSI. So we're not really seeing that. This is hot, but it's not too hot at all. At 72, and crypto world, that's nothing. So we're looking for this to get overheated when it's definitely outside of 80, but more like 90. Especially if we're gonna really go crazy on this one, which still is my expectation. I'm not saying that we're gonna all receive 10x's, 100x's. Some of us might, some of us won't. Most of us probably won't this time, but we don't know. And obviously, people talking about extended cycles, that's not uncommon. Those are the sort of words that were used in the last cycle. This time is different. This time is an extended cycle. For me, I've got an overlay of the previous fractal to give us a rough guide of where I expect to see it come to a natural end. And as far as this and this is concerned, it sounds about right. That we would have maybe 6-8 weeks or so before we finally reach a massive peak. And again, it doesn't mean it's going to go up constantly. Week after week after week, you can see green, but in amongst all of that, you will see reds, and you'll see big reds also. So this is the last run that we had, the last alt season that we had, basically December into January, and plenty of greens, also plenty of reds. From peak to support, 10% drop. It's not too bad, to be honest with you. Again, another one here. We're looking at another 11% drop. Not too bad, but you will get pullbacks, and that is natural. It's perfectly normal. And 10% down, probably a buy the dip environment. I am looking for a move down any minute, really, on this daily. But surfing the outer Bollinger Band, that's very bullish. But once you surf the outer Bollinger Band for too long, you do have to get drawn back into the bands themselves. It's just Bollinger Band strategy. 95% of price action takes place within the band, as you can see, and very occasionally in big trending moves, whether it's up or down, you get outside, only to be sucked back within. So it's about finding equilibrium, a bit of balance really. But as the moves get more aggressive, the bands expand even more. So the centre of the Bollinger Band on this weekly is back down to 1.16 trillion. So that is a support. If we were to see that at all, let's just think about what that would look like. Well, it's a 10% drop, isn't it? If it were to happen today, if it was to happen over the next week, it would also be a 10 or less % drop from where we are right now. It would be less, obviously, as thinking about the Bollinger Band expanding and the moving averages catching up with price action. So I am at some stage looking for a 10% drop in the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin. So obviously certain coins will come down more than that. Let's have a look at Ethereum, how that's looking, because this is going to be one of the not the leaders in terms of percentages, but a bit of more of a signal in itself to continue going up. And then, again, it's been looking pretty good these last few days. So 1, 2, 3 big candles in a row, and then 3 candles born outside of the Bollinger Band. If we're going to pull back on Ethereum from where we are roughly right now into the centre of the Bollinger Band, that's a 12%. So you can see, obviously, even Ethereum emphasises the size of that move on the total market cap. So most altcoins will see 10 to 20% pullback at any point, really, maybe even by tomorrow. But I'm not saying short this market. I'm talking buy the dip market. That's That's really is what we're looking for. It is a buy the dip market as far as I'm concerned, because we're approaching the holy grail. The September of all Septembers, September 2025, is where I've always anticipated a peak to arrive. And if we do extend the cycle, that will be fine. But I will still have exited most of my positions based on everything that it looks like it's going to do right now. And I'm happy to buy back in the form of a lower high, even if it was just a dead cat bounce. But still, when the model fits, and it still fits, it does still fit. Why deviate from a model which still fits? This is always my thing, and it's fine for people to comment otherwise. I think this is an extended cycle. Oh, the cycle's broken. I get it, but people were saying that to us, weren't they? When we saw this pullback on Bitcoin, the cycle's broken. The cycle is over. It's a failed cycle. Bitcoin is going to 10,000 or whatever they were saying. But I was saying, look, you can't really say that the cycle's broken until the 4 years have elapsed. And then you can look back at it in hindsight and say, yeah, it was a failed cycle. If we made like a lower high after this dip, then yeah, perhaps we could say that, but we didn't. We made a higher high, and then we consolidated some more, and then we moved back up, and here we are at new all-time highs, basically. So let's think about Bitcoin itself then, because Bitcoin has also hit the top of a Bollinger Band on a weekly. Money flow index is relatively hot. It can certainly go higher. We're looking for this to expand generally. 120, maybe even a wick higher than that. That could happen at any minute. So this is still a very much bullish chart, isn't it? Really, look at it: low, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high. So if we get to September and we peak at wherever, there's two areas to think about, buying the dip after selling what could be the peak. One would be the obvious place, which would be the Bollinger Band itself, obviously wherever that is at the time. Second to that would be the 50 exponential. As we have seen, the 50 exponential has been pretty good these last couple of times round. So when the bull market began, that was that. This is where I was picking. No, it was here when I was picking mine up around 21,000. Basically, I bought in a load of more bitcoins for the ride, for the journey, and made the golden cross, retested the 200 exponential, and then it's been pretty bullish ever since. 50 exponential, 50 exponential. So those would be the two moving averages to focus on a weekly if you're looking to sort of buy the dip after an anticipated peak. That's what I'm thinking. But don't let me prescribe any trades to you. I can obviously though prescribe you some perks on trading platforms. So we've got BloFin giving you cash back on your deposits at the moment if you use my link, and also they give 10% of your trading fees back to you for the rest of your entire life with that account. So that's a good deal. And BYDFi as well, they got their own perks. So, but other than that, I'm not going to say do what I do, listen to what I say, and do not deviate from it. Remember, I'm just a bloke who makes trades, and I make these videos just really to, if anything, it was all just keep myself company at the beginning. To be honest with you, it's a lonely business, trading really. And so yeah, I thought, what the hell? I'll just open my mouth and speak my mind each morning as I plan my trading day, or see even if there's any available trades that day. So, and yeah, it turned into a YouTube channel, but I mean that's it. I'm not one of those people that says I am the ultimate best. Although sometimes it's worth mentioning that sometimes I am pretty good. Right, so other than that, there's not much more to say. I mean, everything is trending as we expected. The trend signal's still in play for Bitcoin. We're breaking out across the board. If we close like this as well for XRP, we're looking really good for altcoins as well, because XRP has been simmering this move since we broke out of momentum and money flow. We've been talking to everybody on the Patreon about it twice a week, which again, we're doing a Patreon live stream tomorrow. We do those twice a week. Feel free to join. I've been saying, look, hold your horses, everything's fine. Just got to wait. We've got the breakout of money flow. We've got the breakout of momentum. We're just waiting for the breakout of the either the 20 moving average or the 250 area, and we've basically got that now. And now we're looking for new all-time highs to be generated on XRP, which will then take all of its best friends with it. And I did look at this morning. Not that I hold an enormous amount, but I remember saying, look, it will take its best friends with it, and depending on the liquidity of those best friends, you will get big moves. And look at the state of XLM just in 1 week. Kapow, 67% in a week. So there is value in XRP generally anyway. That's why it's basically my largest altcoin hodl and has been for ages. If anyone watches me and if they watch me regularly, you know, at the beginning of this cycle, as we got closer to the big breakout of XRP, I said, look, if I had to sell all my assets, absolutely everything, even my kidneys, absolutely everything, and I was told I could only buy one altcoin, it would be XRP because it has the best setup out of everything so far. And lo and behold, it broke out and it basically stayed up, which is amazing. So there's value in XRP, certainly, but then it also signals to the rest of the market that, hang on a minute, perhaps utility does count for something, which is why I think there's a lot of disappointment across the board for altcoins, other altcoins, because there is no utility. So this could be a really big turning point for altcoin markets moving forward over the next 5 or 10 years or so. But for the remaining tiny little slither of time that we've got left between now and September, to see XRP break here and make new all-time highs, it could be pretty significant. We could be talking obviously 5, 10. My top target has always been $14 for this cycle. There is a chance of a $27, but just because I'm throwing numbers out there doesn't mean that you buy at this level, because you're going to make multiple X's. That's not what I'm saying. Obviously, I've been a big holder and believer in XRP's chart long term, and finally I'm being rewarded. But stepping back from it all, if you're a trader and you're looking to trade this is probably not the place to trade from. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to make loads of money if you were to hold on to it. But I'm not here to tell you what to buy or why to buy it. The time to buy XRP obviously was back in the 50s or below, and you can't rewind the clock. Right, like I say, join me on the Patreon. Links in the description below for everything. Other than that, I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.